Let's take a look at Emma Handy, who's got 3 Veil of Summer legal in this format, 2 Ceremonious Rejection, 2 Mystical Dispute, 2 Nature's Claim. We got 6 1-ofs in Dismember, Distortion, Strike, which was a pretty good one in that first game. Oko, Thief of Crown, Spell Pierce, Spell Skite, and Weather the Storm, the old life gain card.
I don't really know. I still don't have a sense of exactly how you want to approach this sort of matchup because you have a lot of forms of interaction that work against some of the deck, but not against the rest of it. I do like Mystical Dispute a lot. The best cards that Ingram is putting on the battlefield are blue, and Mystical Dispute lines up very well there. I think cards like Spell Pierce and Dismember could be above board here. I think the Distortion Strike is reasonable given how good Ingram is at blocking, including flyers. But I don't know how deep into sideboarding you really want to go. In fact, likes to keep its deck intact as much as possible. And a lot of these options that Handy have, I would describe more as good than great.
Those are the options there for both players, and game number 2 will be underway here in just a moment. But our friends at Ultimate Guard would like to hang out with you for a few minutes, tell you about some awesome new products they've got coming down the pipeline, and then game number 2. So enjoy this. You can get all those products over at StarCityGames.com today as we get ready here for game number 2 right now. Peter Ingram, Emma Handy are right in front of you. Handy up again. Peter searching up a breeding pool with his Flooded Strand. Going to fall down to 17 for doing so. And let's see how he wants to start this game. Last turn it was a turn 1 Emery. This turn, a turn 1 Engineered Explosives, a card he's playing a few copies of main deck. There's your Mox. That's a good start there for Ingram as we head over to Handy, who started with a Once Upon a Time. I think a huge new addition for a lot of decks, but certainly Infect as well.
Why is that?
Why is that? No reason.
Is it because it's it's a ton of selection for no mana?
Yeah, that could be it.
And even the downside risk is not that bad.
Just find a land.
It's a little bit different here because this deck likes to pivot to a spot where it's looking at spells, not creatures or lands. So it's not the smoothest in the context of, what happens if you draw it on turn 4. But the upside is so high, playing it on 0. Who cares?
Oh, it's powerful.
Who cares?
Watergrave untapped here for Ingram.
Who even cares?
Going to fall down to 14. See what comes next here for Pete. Powerful. Emerald Mill 4. Astrolabe, Urza, Polluted Delta, Misty Rainforest. Those head to the graveyard. No snow land just yet, so we head back over to Handy. Peter, you could die right now.
Scale up!
That's not true. Actually, that Mox Opal's off.
Yeah, no, it's...
He would need a Fatal Push or some sort of Dismember, some sort of counterspell to stay alive, which is entirely possible that he has, but there's a Windswept Heath, pardon me.
Mutagenic Growth is still legal, right?
Oh, very legal.
Okay. Forget sometimes about what...
I mean, the formats are close. It's fine. It's fine, man. Is Handy going to get a better spot? Well, I guess, let me slow everything down. Emery can block.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me just slow everything down here. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Now, you might make the argument there's some interest in killing Emery. I think you could say that.
Yeah, I mean, well, the next turn, if you allow Emery to survive, an artifact comes out of the graveyard, now Metalcraft's on, and now looping engineered explosives is another consideration.
There you go.
So, yeah, that Emery's really threatening, and I think Ingram's leftovers are something like 2 lands and an Oko. Just not a lot.
Yeah, I believe that's the grip.
Talk to me.
All right. You've been spoken to.
Talk to me.
Peter's like, am I dead, or what's happening right now to me? So Scallop's going to turn that into a 6. Hi. What's up?
Well, this is a spot. Do you think your position is good enough? Trying to play, if you block with your Emery, are you just in a ton of trouble regardless? Do you just have to hope that nothing's there? I think with Oko in hand, I mean, it is appealing to block and just go to the next turn.
So the problem, so let's say, so here's the thing. Oko comes down, what's it do?
Elk.
Okay, cool. So I attack your Oko, I pump my creature, I kill your Oko. Then you have nothing.
No, he still got his explosives.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
yeah,
that's fair.
You're still, it's not, I'm not saying it's,
Well, that's a big draw.
Urza's a big draw, too.
Urza's a big draw.
Because you needed a way to fill out this hand a little bit. And if it goes the way you assume, where the Oko just absorbs a pump spell, and now, where are we going from here? Urza is an incredible follow-up the following turn.
What's also interesting, too, is, you might play Oko, try to turn that into an Elk. You get Vines or Blossoming Defense.
The other thing is Mystical Dispute, too.
You got to worry about that.
Right. And post-board with Handy leaving a mana up here, clearly on Ingram's radar, and I think he would prefer to play it safe here and just use Engineered Explosives rather than try to resolve a blue spell in a post-board game.
Yeah. All right, what's this? Nature's Claim. Going to force Peter's hand right now. So Peter decided not to deploy Oko. But he's going to use EE to take care of the Glistener off. Okay, fair enough. So now we go back over to Handy.
That's quite the display of strength. I mean, it's likely that Ingram would have done that regardless. I guess he could just pass with the explosives up for a very long time. He can just take the 1.
Huge draw step from Handy, by the way. Drew Mystical Dispute this turn.
I mean, at this point, all Ingram can do is try to resolve an expensive blue card. That's all his hand permits him to do.
Yep. No. It's gonna be a no. Wait, was it a ceremonious rejection? Oh,
that's what I was talking about before. This is the dilemma that Handy has while sideboarding. She's got a bunch of cards that are good but not great.
Yep.
There's some reaction that does not line up the right way all the time.
I thought it was a Mystical Dispute, but it was a ceremonious rejection. And now here's Blighted Agent, tapped out Blighted Agent.
And now there's a window. Now there's a window for Oko here, and Ingram's going to start to pull ahead.
Looks like another Oko was drawn, and you mentioned Peter does get the opportunity to start pulling ahead, turn that Blighted Agent into an Elk. Don't let that work itself into the equation, so that's gone.
I mean, the ground's locked up. Ingram has no infect. It's going to require it's going to require Inkmoth Next or Distortion Strike for there to be any hope of anything. And really, the next turn, Ingram can play it super conservative and just start elking everything. Don't allow Handy to untap with any infect threat. Don't even risk a Distortion Strike backdoor kill. And, if she can't find an Inkmoth Nexus real fast, we're going to be going to game 3.
Well, here's an interesting thing that might happen this game now. That 3/3 Elk with pump spells. Let's go. Yeah. Beatdowns. Let's roll regular damage. 14. I can deal 14. I can deal 14. Vines of Vastwood. See you later, Oko. Which Ingram doesn't mind because there's another Oko in hand. Bang. And you said elk everything, and I'm having a difficult time arguing with you on that. Sometimes you elk your own things. He's saying, Mox, I don't really need you anymore. Pass that turn back. Over to Handy we go. Handy will draw. Botanical Sanctum is a little late to this party. I think another land would have been helpful a turn or two ago. But now we might have a weird Oko on Oko fight. Because Handy has an Oko of her own, and she'll deploy the Planeswalker.
Yeah, but I think it's a little bit easier for Ingram to win a game where text boxes aren't allowed than for Handy.
Perhaps. I mean, a good place to start is maybe Okoing Urza so that its text box doesn't matter. It looks like she's just going to make a food token, but look, Emma, oh boy, Engineer Explosives.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Ingram's just a lot better situated to play this style of game.
Sure. No, that's fair. That's fair. I don't know exactly what he wants to put EE on at this stage, but I understand what you're saying.
Just draw step to draw step. Handy's going to draw a bunch of pump spells that don't align to anything that the game is about, and Ingram's going to find more card drawing, removal spells.
Mm-hmm. Looks like might be setting it for 2. Peter pretty unsure of himself right now exactly on what he wants to do. Understandable. This game's getting a little bit complicated, but I think it is slowly but surely leaning towards him.
Well, there's the question here of how much do you want to risk any sort of possibility of getting killed on the way back versus how much do you want to focus on just getting Handy's Oko down as fast as possible.
What you saw Peter do there, if you're not familiar, is he played his Engineer Explosives for 2, tapped the snow-covered island and the Engineer Explosive itself for mana, and then blows the EE instead of using another land that's on the battlefield. Yeah. So a cute little trick thanks to Urza hanging out. He'll turn a little something else into an Elk, and now he's going to be giving some beatdowns here. So Peter's looking to get this game over with now, and Oko does facilitate some pretty quick kills thanks to all those Elks it can make.
And this is a really easy and clean spot here for Ingram. Either Handy blocks and she's down her last impact threat, or she doesn't and she's down the Oko. You still have a blocker on the way back. Not impossible, still not impossible to die from this spot. Mm-hmm. Distortion Strike, Scale Up, Become Immense. There are combinations of cards that Handy can have right now that still get this game over with. But if she's not playing that fast, stands to reason it's not there.
Well, let's try again. Attack you. You better block.
Yeah, you can afford to let this Urza go.
Yep, Urza's done a nice job this game. Pass the turn back. We play on. Was it another? Oh boy, good draw. Good draw. And so many rejection cannot take care of that. Beatdowns. Make a food token. Little surprised to not make Glistener Elf an Elk. Again, there are a series of draws here that can get the job done.
Yeah, this seems... I mean, I guess a lot of the draws that could get it done here might get it done even through an Elk, but it just... This seems...
I mean, Handy needs to draw Distortion Strike.
Right.
Straight up. Bang. Tack. Okay.
Yeah, I have a question about if these exchanges here are leaving Handy with enough left in the tank, even if she draws Distortion Strike to win the game.
Yeah, that one's... So, on that particular turn, I'm not sure I love the scale up.
The last turn, I think, is a fine spot to take care of the Urza.
That one I don't love, because the Distortion Strike comes rolling off. I don't know if she has enough, as you mentioned, to actually win the game. Now, do keep in mind, there's a Vines of Vastwood in hand, and that would be played in response to the Oko making an Elk and bricking that off. So, Gilded Goose.
It's not, I mean, it's not shabby.
beatdowns. All right, well, I don't know if D-Strike's going to get it done or not now, but we'll see. There's a draw step. And that is going to do it. So Emma Handy's going to be on the play for game number 3, which is a good place to be. As Peter Ingram wins game number 2, Civic Urza and Infect, they are in a food fight. We are rocking and rolling.
So Handy had some of the reaction there in game number 2 that, you know, like we said, it's good against some of the stuff, not good against the other stuff. Ceremonious Rejection ended up being stranded in her hand. There's plenty of good targets in Ingram's deck. Engineer Explosives probably top billing. Even hitting a Mox at some point is going to be excellent. With Handy on the play, I'm interested to see, does she go back and just streamline the deck, make it as proactive as possible, play a little less of the counterspell game, and hope to just get Ingram dead as fast as possible. And it looks like she is making some changes. I would not be surprised if this was about making the deck a little bit more aggressive. It wouldn't surprise me if specifically Ceremonious Rejection was getting removed from the deck.
Really good 2 games so far. I've been enjoying it. This tournament's been a lot of high-level Magic. And we are watching 2 of the SCG Tour's very best battle back and forth. Looks like Handy's going to change things up a little bit. Peter is happy with his configuration. Going to be a little bit tougher with Peter on the draw. We'll see if he can keep up in a minute. But first, we want you to learn a little bit more about our end-of-year tournament, the Players' Championship, taking place in December.
It's been a while, but I feel like I've seen this movie before. Pass the turn back. Is it a top deck?
Oh
it's
my
a
God, Pendlehaven. Pump and attack?
Is this real?
Oh my God. Oh no. Oh my goodness. Oh my God.
December 13th through the 15th, twitch.tv/StarCityGames is where you can watch the Players' Championship. 16 competitors, $50,000, 1 champion. That champion's getting the title belt.
Yeah.
Which I saw you with yesterday.
Saw you with it as well.
I was hanging with it. I was born to wear a title belt, I think. You had a nice pose, though. You're someone who's, yeah, you'd be climbing on the ropes.
Yeah.
Hanging it high. I'd be more of the person who just, I would wear it around my waist and just show it off. I don't think I'd hold it up in the air very much. Maybe as a taunt.
You would do more of the sort of Olympic style. Yeah.
Yeah. But if some good guy was trying to get in my face about it, I let him know, this is mine and you're never getting it. You know, you got to let them know where they stand. I think that's important. Handy's going to send it back. Peter looks like he's going to keep. EE, Astrolabe, looks like the necessary mana to cast Astrolabe. I see a Mox Opal there as well, so it looks like some early interaction, early plays to be had. But it does look like he might be considering a mulligan. Lots of weight here because right now it's looking like 12-3-1 is our top 8. But no one with 4 losses, I would say, is going to make top 8 here. Pretty large invitational. A little under 500 players. Everybody showed out for this one. So big shout out to everybody who came. Looks like people are loving the Pioneer format. And Modern's not in a bad spot either. There's ways to poke holes against these Urza decks. Handy's trying to do that right now with Infect. And this is another deck here in Infect because it's, I would call it more of a combination deck, looking for certain combinations obviously to get it done. London Mulligan's good here.
Yes.
It's a deck that doesn't mind this at all.
There are still some critical mass issues. It's not just put A plus B together, but your good 6-card hands are still a lot better than your modest 7-card hands. And you just don't have the time to wait for, you know, you can't keep speculative hands that, you know, don't have a threat to play or are way too slow.
All right, let's do it. It's a windswept heath. Pass that turn back. Mox. Bauble. 0. Thoughtseize. All right. Oko, Mystical Dispute, Vines of the Vastwood, Breeding Pool, and I believe Pendlehaven.
Yep. Not a great 6-card hand, but actually not that bad against Thoughtseize. You know, there's not an obvious hole to poke in this hand, and you're drawing very live to any of your creatures to make the hand very good.
Yeah, I think you take Oko because it's the best card in the hand, but that's really about it. To Handy. Okay. Once upon a time.
Oh, that's a big
That's
draw.
a nice draw.
A lot of looks at it.
3, 4, 5. Find a creature with Infect? We did. It's a big time draw. It's a free way to do it. Okay. I think you probably take this opportunity to get that deployed, and then you can do a pretty good job of protecting it. Ooh. Patience.
Well, you get to wait a couple upsides here. You get to wait a turn and have some protection. You also get to answer something like Oko next turn by leaving up the Mystical Dispute.
Island of the snow-covered variety. A pretty big deal there for Ingram because he has those Astrolabes and was without a snow-covered land to cast it. So there is Astrolabe. That will draw a card. It's a Scalding Tarn. So his mana problems are solved.
Now you can put the explosives on 2, and you would answer the Blighted Agent.
Mm-hmm. So was Handy supposed to deploy Blighted Agent last turn and hope to get a little lucky?
I can respect. I think that if, with the nature of her hand, if she plays a Blade Agent and Ingram goes land Oko, it's all over. And this way, she gets to hold up a Mystical Dispute for a turn and then untap with Vines cover, and that gives you some hope of playing around Ingram's best stuff. But this is the tough part. Why I was concerned broadly about Handy getting a little too reactive post board. Just a lot of these cards work against some, but not all of the deck.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's got caught in the wrong spot here. The Mystical Dispute didn't line up against the artifacts we saw in game number 2. Ceremonious Rejection not lining up the right way against the blue cards. And, you know, trying to get these cards to line up the correct way has been a struggle for Handy in the post-board games.
Back to Ingram. He'll draw another land. He does have Oko in hand. Well, it looks like he's going to start with Astrolabe once again. So he'll draw a card. Found another copy of EE. And EE may be GG in this instance. Very good card in this matchup. Gotta find Inkmoth Nexus. Does have a handy. Ingram will pass. Handy with another Blighted Agent. Well, let's start here. Well, okay. Ingram quickly blowing that.
Yeah, that is a win. I mean, Handy would have been completely jammed up in the face of that explosives had Ingram just passed and taken 1 or maybe 2 on the Pendlehaven. Now Ingram is shields down.
Ingram does have another EE in hand, so he does have an answer to this card. But, you know, there's no guarantee that it resolves. Peter's got a pretty good idea of what Emma's working with, so perhaps he knows all of the contents, but seemed a little hasty. Remember that Mox Opal is turned on here for Ingram, so he's got access to 5 total mana on this turn. Engineer Explosives on 0, 2 Astrolabes, Mox Opal, and now Engineer Explosives on 2. The hand here for Ingram, 2 copies of Oko. Handy will draw in. He'll blow it again right away. And no threat there for Handy.
And now Ingram here with a mana can resolve an Oko through a Mystical Dispute. And that is a ton of trouble. Doesn't even need to do it, I suppose. The plan here is just to Thoughtseize away.
Mystic Sanctuary looking great. Distortion Strike, Mystical Dispute, Vines of the Vastwood. There that goes. Here comes Oko. Well, partner, it's Inkmoth Nexus now.
Yeah, and probably this turn to have a real shot. The rest of Ingram's hand is not much of anything. It's just another copy of Oko. So Nexus gives Handy a real shot, but you need it like now.
Pass it back. If it's not this turn, if it's not that turn, it's got to be this turn.
I don't even know if that's true because this is an attack for 6 and it's running attack for 9 next turn.
But you have the opportunity to block next turn.
Yeah, but that's going to require some resources,
Sure.
you know.
And there's a Dismember, which 11 down to 8. Okay. Nope. That one's a Windswept Teeth, and I think the window is closing on this one. It may just, in fact, be closed.
Yeah. And if you want to sum it up, you know, in game number 1 there, Handy was able to beat Ingram, even with Ingram up on a lot of cards, by making the game about something that Ingram couldn't act with. Post-board, they met more in the middle, and Ingram's cards all lined up the right way, all worked without condition, and Handy's sideboard cards were mostly stranded.
Emma will draw. It's a scale up. And that is going to do it. Peter Ingram's going to win this game and match you over Emma Handy 2-1. Simic Urza is going to take care of Infect.